Welcome to the latest Liquidware Chats. In this episode, I have Sebastien and René from IGEL. Sebastien and René are responsible for IGEL Community, and we talk about their early careers in IT and how they get started. Then we kind of examine the EUC market and where we are and how, desktop virtualization and applications and Windows applications, they're not going anywhere. They're still really relevant. But we talk about what's going to happen in the next iteration. And we also look at IGEL Disrupt and some of the major announcements of that and the impact that's likely to have on the end user computing industry. We also talk about how Liquidware and IGEL have been collaborating for years together. And we talk about our latest collaborations and potentially what we're going to do in the future as well. And then we finish, as always, with our discussion around the impact of AI and EUC. Really hope you enjoy the episode. Thanks. Just to get us started, I know both of you have been at IGEL for quite a while, but how did you both get started in EUC? Maybe starting with you, René.
Yes, so I started my career in IT, I would say 15, 16 years ago. Started in security, I have to say. Wrote plans for business continuity and worked in Hamburg, but always lived in Bremen. It was a 2-hour drive every day. And after 2 or 3 years, I said, okay, I want to be more nearby home. So because I'm very located here in my hometown, and I found this offer from IGEL that they were looking for a systems engineer, and I would say I applied, and the first time I walked into this head office, it was I don't know how to describe, but I felt very comfortable, and they gave me a great chance. I was completely new to UC, and they said, "Hey, you can learn, you can grow here in this company," and I think that was my start, and now quite nearby 11 years I'm at IGEL now, different roles, but I think that was my start. 11 years ago.
Okay, that's pretty cool. And what about you, Sebastien?
So I started my IT career 20 years ago. No, come on, it's longer than that. 23 years ago, man. I do some math already. But yeah, I started on a service provider side for a European bookstore company. And we started there with Citrix MetaFrame 1.8. I can tell you this because we had the discussion on stage during a panel discussion that we had during the Disrupt event. So that's where I started. Then switched a bit over to some terminal services from Microsoft for a couple of years. And then at the end, I switched from the customer side of being a customer of IGEL to be a system engineer together with René. So René started something like 6 months, 8 months before me at IGEL. But I wasn't located in Bremen. I was located nearby Frankfurt, and I applied for a similar role, more or less 11 years ago. And in the meantime, I stayed in the end user computing space. I always had fun to play with new technologies, looking what is happening on the market, and enjoying to join such events like Disrupt or the E2E virtual conference. And that's basically my journey. Now, taking care of the IGEL community and the TechPep team together with René, and having just a lot of fun.
Excellent. Yeah, so you mentioned there about desktop virtualization, and one of the keynote speakers at IGEL Disrupt was Gabe Nuth. And Gabe, as we all know, works for ESG, which is an analysis firm. And he was talking about how this perception that some people say, "Oh, is it the end of desktop virtualization?" But like he had a statistic where it says like 97% of companies are utilizing desktop virtualization. And then he was like talking also about Windows apps. And like the figures were in the high 90s of companies which had at least one Windows app. And then it went through a progression. But it kind of it seems like Windows app, despite everyone talking about everything's going SaaS, web apps, everything, it's not the case. Windows apps are going to be here for quite a while. So, Seb, do you want to answer that one, or?
Sure. So if you look at what happened in the last 10 years, I remember starting at IGEL and being a thin client vendor company. because everything had to be placed in the VDI or terminal server platform. I would say that changed a lot in the last 2 to 3 years due to COVID, but also due on general trends happening on the end user computing space, that not the IT administrator is taking, let's say, the biggest impact, but the end user who is sitting in front of the device. And now if an end user is asking for something, I would say that they're getting more voice, more power than before. And that's where having this mind of, if the user is not getting it, he can complain, but it will not change anything to our strategy, change a lot. Now we have a user which is extremely powerful, which has a lot of impact. And if he's needing a Windows application, he would definitely get his way to get it. Thinking about bringing on device, thinking about having a private device somewhere in his home and just to access this one application is not what we want to target. And that's what I took over from the presentation happening during the event, is that you can fight against it, but you will always have this one application where you need to find a solution for. And that's where a lot of different vendors on the market, as well as IGEL, is trying to find a solution for this. And if you ask me, it will not get less in the next years because we still have some exotic applications out there. But I'm really looking forward to all this software as a service kind of application. Because if you look at Slack, if you look at Office 365, I mean, come on, guys. Who thought 10 years ago that a Microsoft product will allow you to work together with your teammates in an Excel file, online, in a web browser, without having bigger issues? I wouldn't have been the guy. I would say no chance, but now it's working. And that's what we are seeing due to the progressive web app approach. It's getting more agile than before. So a long answer to a short question, I know, but that's what I'm feeling at the moment.
No. Yeah, go on. Sorry, René.
I don't know how it is in your country, but I can tell you in Germany, in the beginning it was, something in the web. I'm getting lost of my data. But the people are getting more used to, and I think also the acceptance is there. I think it will be, like Seb said, it will be a hybrid model because you don't have the perfect solution for everyone. Everyone has different needs. And so from IGEL, this is what I like. Also due to the community, we're getting so much feedback from different people, and we try to bundle it, give it to our PM, to our development, and making great decisions. And this is since I started 11 years. So IGEL OS was totally different. Back in the days, it was way more limited. And when I see also the changes we made in the last, let's say 4 to 5 years, it's immense to listen to the people, but also bring it to life, to make really transparent and really open system for people and use cases you want to use, right? So I think this is also the mindset and the ability to do some things for administrators is great, and probably the user experience for the end users is also very, very key to this, to have a very, very nice workflow when you start your device.
Yeah, no, I agree. And while we started talking there about Disrupt, IGEL made quite a lot of announcements, and I just wondered, could you guys go through some of the kind of the key ones you think are the kind of really big differentiators, and they're really going to make a difference?
Oh, should I go first, René, or would you?
Yeah, absolutely.
I would say it's difficult to pick one or maybe 2 of them. I would just go for the one who was the most expected over the last 10 years. And I would say that the app creator portal is one of the biggest announcements that we made over the last, for about 10 years. So just to give your listeners a little bit of background, I don't want to go too deep, but I have to give a little bit of background about how it became an app creator portal. So if you think back on what IGEL OS 11 and more or less every firmware version back to firmware 5 or 4, if you wanted a separate application which was not part of the IGEL ecosystem, you had to create a so-called custom partition, which in theory is a kind of a portable version of this application that you deployed to your IGEL operating system and then was linked into the operating system virtually spoken, so by using symbolic links. End of the story. Now that we have IGEL OS 12, where the firmware is not monolithic anymore, so where you have 2 for 3 gigabytes of data and you deselect what you are not wanting, we switch the approach to have a more modular operating system. So you deploy the operating system and then you choose which kind of applications you want to deploy. So the other way around, not disabling what you do not need, you just install what you need. And now coming back to the App Creator portal, now let's imagine that you have a company relevant application that you develop by yourself, something in Java, something in, I don't know, which kind of Linux application that you are using that you need for your company. Like a VLC player is a good example because it was showed on the IGEL Disrupt event. Well, until now, you had to ask someone to create a custom partition. Then you got it. You had to take care by yourself to update it. So it was quite complicated and no one could really follow up on this. Now, by the App Creator portal, you get a receipt, which is developed in the IGEL community, mostly by our very famous René colleague, as well as from community members. Everything is stored in GitHub. And then, due to legal reason, you only have to upload this one receipt together with the binaries into a web portal, which is delivered by IGEL, and you get an app out of it. So you do not need to get your hands dirty on command line anymore. I mean, that's amazing if you think about the IGEL history, right? And now you just have an application. You import it into UMS and boom, it's directly deployed to your end devices. And if you ask me, that's my highlight because we waited for this for 10 years.
Yeah, and speaking as a vendor as well, I think it simplifies the process for us. If we want to do an update to our application, we can just utilize the portal as well. So it means that, you know, there isn't a delay in releases and the testing cycles and everything like that. So it just means you can get newer versions out quicker to say the IGEL store and that kind of thing. So yeah, no, I think it's a really welcome development.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I remember the pain around custom partitions. And
I think we all do. Like,
yeah.
Just in case anyone doesn't know, I worked at IGEL as well. So I know the three of us have gone through our pains with custom partitions, and Ron is a god when it comes to those custom partitions. Any questions I ever had on custom partitions, I asked Ron because, or you guys actually, I think as well. You know, it fitted the purpose at the time, but it's not a modern option, and that's the thing that was needed. And so that's why I suppose the app portal makes so much sense, is because we're in a very app-centric world where, you know, people build and develop applications quite rapidly, and there's quite a bit of technical knowledge required to build a custom partition. And it just doesn't work with the OS 12 architecture as well. So it just made, because of the modular nature of it. So yeah, it's
less secure,
makes total sense.
less agile. Absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think this is also one of my highlights there. But I also would say that security, everyone I talked with, the topic was security, zero trust at some point. You name the buzzwords there, but having solutions like Island Enterprise Browser there, where you can go deeper and can decide, okay, how secure do I want to make it? Talking about web apps, for example, this is fantastic. And also there, a couple of years ago, we thought, okay, which browser are implemented, which versions are implemented, and now we're partnering with great companies to go deeper, because I think IGEL is doing a great job, but we're also quite limited at some point, and getting a partner in boat that are experts on that field is amazing. And I had this security panel also, where we had Omnissa, where we had Island, our CISO Andreas, where we talked about this topic. So building a partner network and utilizing also the partners where they have this expertise to create a zero trust environment is really key, and is also really something what I'm really looking for, because this is also, and now we're talking about security for a long time, but now we can prove it that we have a secure product, and also bringing all this key player in to make it even more secure. So,
was there any other ones, Sebastien, you wanted to mention?
You mean all the highlights of Disrupt?
Yeah.
The bar. Nah, kidding aside. I mean, we had no. I mean, I would say I'm kidding just to a half, because we speak about the announcements about what IGEL is delivering, but we shouldn't never forget that it's all about the people that we are meeting on site, right? I mean, it's you, it's you, James. It's all the vendors, but we are talking about our customers, partners, or resellers and distributors, EMEA, so to see, also partially worldwide, that we're meeting on such kind of events. And we are getting a lot of feedback out of the general records. Because usually, if you talk to someone, you're not getting the same feedback as in a written form, as an email or in a Zoom call. And I'm saying the bar because still, if you meet someone at the party and you just had a tough day behind you, you have another approach to discuss with each other. And that's something which I need to mention because that's my personal highlight every time in Miami, in Munich, and wherever on earth we had disrupt events or general events. So that's my personal highlight. But besides this, looking about what IGEL is doing, I would say that the Microsoft cooperation as a general keyword is something which was awaited for a long time. And we did a lot of progress in terms of Azure Virtual Desktop, but we stayed in this specific bubble. We never thought, at least not until Disrupt, about, hey, what about looking at some other browsers? What about looking about Intune integration? And not every of our listeners will have Intune in place. Don't get me wrong. I know that it's still a niche product and not everyone is using it, especially if you think about the IGEL ecosystem. But if you have a hybrid mode where you have Windows devices maybe, and you have a couple of IGEL devices, or you have a lot of IGEL devices and a couple of Windows devices, so how should you handle this? That's where the Intune integration does a lot of sense. And guess what? We have now 2 new apps, which, again, we have to double check with product marketing if they are already available, but they will be available soonish, around the Intune agent and the Microsoft Edge browser. So something, again, which was impossible 10 years ago to install a Microsoft product on Linux. Guess what? It's getting better because the Edge browser is integrating a lot of distributions already. And guess what? It's now also available on IGEL OS. So that's 2 small pieces, but bind together with maybe an Azure or Windows 365 approach, which now make the chain of trust from the endpoint back to the backend complete. Finally, should I say. And that's, I would say, the number 2 takeaway from the product that we launched that was very well received in the community as well.
Yeah. The community thing is obviously really important, and you guys had your own stage as well, which I had the pleasure of presenting on. So thank you again for that. But that was really great as well because you saw, there was people from partners presenting, there was some of the IGEL guys presenting, and it was a more relaxed setting than the big main stage with, the 40-foot screens and stuff like that. So yeah, I liked that there's always a community side to it, and obviously you guys run your community like I run ours, so it is all about building those relationships.
Exactly.
But one of the things I was really impressed by, and it's always been part of IGEL messaging, is around the kind of sustainability. And James Millington gave a really good presentation on that, and he pointed out a few key things, and I suppose one of them that is coming up more and more is kind of around Windows 11 and the whole fact that certain Windows 10 PCs won't have the correct chipset to be able to support Windows 11. So what do you do in that instance? And I think it's kind of where we're going as an industry. It's like you mentioned Windows 365 there. It's getting so much better that I read something where Microsoft are actually deploying virtual machines to end users, and they're not they can just use whatever physical device, but all the power is in the cloud essentially. So we are seeing that shift, and that does open opportunities for the likes of IGEL because you can supply that kind of lightweight device, especially through your partnerships with all the various different hardware vendors that you're associated with. So yeah, I think we are seeing that change. And like when someone first said to me, oh, you won't need a physical PC, you can do it all on AVD and stuff. But then I remember like our time at IGEL, Simon Townsend, when he was running AVD on IGEL. And that was his device. I think he was running on, can't remember the device he was running on, but that was his daily driver. Like, and some of us were like, what? What's going on? But I think we're seeing that shift more and more. And that was one of my big things. And obviously there's the benefits around sustainability because, we don't want to just all these laptops to end up in landfill when you can just, as René's t-shirt says, simply IGEL it, So I think that's been a big shift, and that kind of the whole modular approach that with the architecture now I think goes hand in hand with that because there was times when people would say, "Oh, is the OS getting too big?" And now you can kind of customize it to what you need. So I think those changes are very welcome, and the more we can do from a sustainability standpoint, the better. So yeah.
No, totally agree. And we had also one of my favorites sessions, maybe that was also not in the first row, was the documentation we did with Nathaniel from Sunscreen IT, who is really doing a lot for Africa, using old hardware for them, educate them in IT, bring them to IT. But you're totally right. Why should we buy every 2 years a new device? Sure, it looks fancy and cool, but we're creating so much e-waste there, and IGEL has a really cool solution, like you said. You use your old device a couple years longer and put the power in the data center, right? This is one thing, and like I said in the beginning, when I started my career in ICU, I really wrote plans. Okay, how can we bring endpoints back to life after there was an attack or a problem there, and we had this presentation on stage. I think Jason Marfero did this, and he said, yeah, the most difficult thing when you have a challenge or attack or a malware infection is to bring the endpoints back, right? And also there having a light solution with IGEL. I think he had the 9/11 example where you define a key, and if you're affected, you reboot, you press the key, and then IGEL comes up, and you're able to work again in minutes. This is also something what I really, really, really like, and I don't know if everyone knows that is possible, because this is a really cool solution, and I think we should advertise this even more. I don't want to say we should benefit from other problems, but I would say, hey, with our like we say, with our preventative security model, we're having a solution that can help or plan such an impact before it happens, and this is also something I'm really excited about.
Yeah, and I remember, I think back when in my time at IGEL, we had demos and we were telling people about how, like, essentially hard drives that died on laptops and you stuck in like a UD pocket and you'd be up and running and it back into your cloud hosted desktop, whatever platform that was, in seconds. And that's a kind of, from a business continuity standpoint, that's just amazing. The same if you've got, say you've got like a laptop, it's riddled with viruses, stick in a UD pocket, it's completely isolated from the operating system, underlying operating system. It has its own in-case bubble and you just work away. So yeah, I think there is a really good story around business continuity. And we've been actually looking at some stuff ourselves around how, obviously from a business continuity standpoint, you need your applications. So if you've got issues with your golden images and stuff like that in certain things, there's been, whereas with our solution with Flex apps, they're independent of the golden image, so they can be spun up. Once you have your golden image spun up, you can just push them dynamically straight away. So I think both of our companies have a very good kind of story around what's going on with business continuity. And obviously things like, the unfortunate incident where CrowdStrike has kind of brought this to the forefront of IT again. And, and we all have to define it more. And then, obviously there was, I think Scott Manchester was talking about it, if their kind of business, which was kind of mind blowing. It was like, if you're in one geo, we can actually spin you up in another geo instantaneously with no downtime. I'm like, what? I was like, how is that even possible? And he said, with no downtime, not even like a second. It's just, it's next level stuff. So there's definitely solutions to kind of get around and hopefully help customers with all of these kind of issues that are, you know, likely to occur again. It's not, unfortunately, it's not isolated, whether it's a cyber attack or, you know, a software update that went rogue. You know, all of these type things, it's likely to happen again, unfortunately. So you do need solutions such as we provide jointly. So yeah, I thought that was a really good angle from yourselves at Disrupt, and business continuity had gone a bit, you know, it's just, maybe we need it for a lot of companies.
No one think of it until it happens, right? No one think about this stuff until it happens.
Like if you think about it back in the day, like when you were doing active passive DR and then,
oh yes,
like do we actually need another everything replicated to another data center, because that's double the cost? Or you know, what do we need? Can we get away with the bare minimum, and we can, you know, if we've got like 2,000 employees, let's only be able to support 500 in our DR site. Whereas now it's like, you probably do need the full 2,000. So I think things that cause us to reflect in IT are always a good thing. I think you know, I think we can get complacent sometimes, and things like the incident that happened, it just jolts everyone back to, okay, what is our process for, you know, whether it's like your testing of applications or whatever, your update process. And I think it's a reset that's needed every so often, and ultimately it should make things better in the long term.
But guess what? That's an interesting discussion. I mean, I can only speak for Germany and France partially, but we are having a situation quite often, and customers are, and I mean, I would have done the same, I guess, are trying to fix the issue as soon and as quick as possible. But this process of rethinking what made this error happen, human behavior, man-in-the-middle attack, or whatever other reason, change it from the technical point of view. So you can add a lot of security layers, but never forget the human behavior. And the human behavior is usually the biggest entrance for such kind of stuff, right? Because if you want to enter someone in a specific system, you can try to bypass firewalls and extremely complicated security features, which happens, don't get me wrong, but usually the entrance is somewhere on the human side. And that's something which, in my opinion, we should train away more than we did before. And you can do a lot from a security and IT perspective. But again, don't forget the human in front of the PC.
Do you remember the Cebit or in general the event?
Sure,
I think we had in pre-sales this huge server there, and I remember. And it shows also the behavior from IT guys, right? I remember 10 years ago, I went to the back and saw the server, and I saw 4 mobile phones charging in the server with the USB. And I had the discussion with Lenovo, and they said, well, guess how many people came to me in the 2 days, asked if they can charge their phone on our devices? Well, nowadays I would be very careful about this, because he also told me, hey, everyone knows here's a USB stick. Don't plug it in if you find it somewhere. But there are also...
Throw it in the bin.
Yeah, there are also a USB-C cable that are able to...
OMG cables.
Yeah. So this is, you need to totally agree. Human behavior is something that we need to address heavily, but also, it's funny to hear the old stories and see now how it changed already in the last 10 years.
Yeah, but there's still things happening, like, you know, the say, you know, someone puts their password as a post-it on their screen or something. So someone goes being a cleaner in the building and gets the password, and then it doesn't matter if you've got 15 layers of security, you're already in, so you can then run your attack. So the human factor is a big thing. So what I wanted to talk to, obviously, Liquidware and IGEL have been partners for a very long time. We've collaborated a lot together, and we've talked about how OS 12 is now a lot more modular than it previously was, and ourselves, we designed, I think, and won an award for our app, our Stratosphere UX app, which is all about kind of the monitoring of your endpoints. But also what we've started looking at use. So as I said, we've developed this application, as we've said, modular. So you just deploy the app to your endpoints, and you get all of those kind of metrics into Stratosphere, and it's very seamless process. But we talked a little bit about it there. The other thing we've been developing with yourselves is delivering Flex apps to IGEL endpoints. So this is a little bit different. So it mainly comes around, I suppose, from the fact that we have, with our mutual partner, Citrix, are able to deliver Flex apps to a Citrix DAS environment. And then obviously we can then, through that, have Flex apps running. And it just gives customers, I suppose, another choice when it comes to the way their applications are developed or delivered.
Couldn't agree more. I mean, if you think about your solution and our solution, we are not competing at that moment because we still need clients installed on the operating system. We still need codecs where you need a direct interactivity with the operating system. That's where I'm saying not competing, we are more fulfilling different needs of the end user. So that's where we are looking quite closely to our ecosystem. I mean, you are still part of the IGEL community, and for our listeners who are not part, please join us there. We're discussing exactly this need. So we try to get a pulse of our market, understand what needs are needed, and which new ideas we can develop out of it. Not saying that what happened on Liquidware side, did happen from the community side. Not at all, but at least we are giving input to different part of the company as well as you do, right? You're getting feedback from your members, from your customers, and you're trying to bring additional value to an existing solution. That's where we are more than thankful to have such partners like Liquidware to deliver such kind of stuff to our devices.
Yeah, and we're going to do more. In fact, our real-time remediation solution, Command Control, which is our SaaS-based solution, starting in 2025, will be supporting IGEL devices. So that will mean you can get all of your kind of data and metrics from Stratosphere, but then you can then take action. There's a command prompt window, so you can apply scripts and that to your devices directly from
remotely.
our console.
Woo.
So
That's
remotely cool. So it doesn't matter where they are in the world. Once you're on our control plane, you will be able to do that. So that's coming in 2025. So that's kind of an exclusive. That's for our listeners, and we, obviously we could share that. As the guys mentioned, yes, I'll put the link in for IGEL Community, but don't forget also there is Liquidware Community as well, where if you want to get all the latest on what's going on with Liquidware, you can join there. So kind of just. We actually haven't mentioned it, which is insane that we haven't mentioned the word AI at all, which given we work in tech, but one of the questions I kind of have is what do you guys see as the kind of impact of AI on end user computing in your opinion? And let's start with René for that one.
Yeah, so AI is a really, really interesting topic. I'm using AI every day for creating content, for playing around, seeing what is doable, and thinking about back 2 years ago when I saw first time, okay, create your own song as an example now, and it sounded like crap, and now there are solutions where I can compose and text a whole song and gives me out in a perfect one. I can upload to Spotify, and nobody will get it that it's AI. So. I'm really excited of where we're going there, because I think also in EOC this can help us a lot to support us, right? I don't think that AI will replace us, but if we use AI in the right way, it gives us chances to automate things, to get more data out, to calculate data in a way we never thought about. So this is something I'm really, really excited to see what is possible there.
And what about yourself, Sebastien?
So I would split the answer maybe in two sections. First of all, how I'm using it, and then maybe some concerns or some ideas. So first of all, I'm using it, I want to say it every day, but quite often, especially if I'm thinking about technical content. Thinking of searching on Start Page, on DuckDuck or Google to find the corresponding answer to a specific version of the software you're looking for is a nightmare. It was a nightmare, and it would still be a nightmare in the future. That's why I'm thinking that large language models, which are helping us day in, day out, is to combine a lot of different pieces of my question into one solution, which might not be perfect, but pretty close to perfect already. Helps a lot. So I'm seeing it. I mean, I had a community member who told me one day, it's only a glorified search engine. And I'm disagreeing, because the search engine would just give, I know. I mean, it's an interesting discussion. Don't get me wrong. And that's why I'm saying, hey, from a pure technical approach, it's a way more than that, because it will not give you only the answer. It will build the answer for you, or build the target that you're looking for. And that's where I'm using it quite extensively, because I'm lazy. I don't like to document scripts. Hey, using an AI for doing this is extremely convenient, and it helps me to keep track about what I'm doing. So it saves time. I would bring it back to one sentence. It saves a lot of time, and it enhances also my knowledge in areas where I would have taken days to get my knowledge learned. Now, getting to my concerns. We are still in the phase where AI is used more or less everywhere, legally, illegally, partially in the company, outside of the company. And we are sharing a lot of this. We are sharing a lot of content from our company, partially with this language models. Never forget that it will always be safe until the moment where one of these vendors will tell you, oh, we use your data, but we forget to mention it. So just keep in mind that if you interact with something like ChatGPT or Google, they want to do money. Never forget this. So be careful about the data that you are sharing. Be mindful with the company data, and especially with customer data if you're working in a customer-facing company, and keep this in mind. But if you keep this small steps in mind, honestly, it's a lifesaver in a daily work.
Yeah, I agree. A couple of things that, like you said, is it depends on the version of ChatGPT in terms of what they do with your data. If you're using the enterprise or the Teams version, there's a lot. You can restrict it more than the even just the standard plus model. So one thing which I think is just common sense: don't upload NDA data to it, because exactly. It's common sense, but it shouldn't need to be said. But I'm sure it's happened, because this is a model. Sure. You're giving your data away to a third party company, and they absolutely will use it. So if something's under NDA, don't put it into the model. Now you can opt out of them sharing your data. There is a button within. But what that does also is that turns off the memory function, which is really useful. And you don't have to go back. And what that person in community said about it's like a search engine, you're not prompting correctly if that's it's all about how you talk to it. And I really can't wait for the voice one where I can have an interactive, because I'm much better at talking than I am at typing what I want. So I'm waiting for that interactive thing, which we've been waiting for quite a while at this stage, and hopefully it'll be coming soon. But who knows? But yeah, I think it's really exciting. And the other thing is that if I talk about, say, a solution like Stratosphere UX, it gathers so much data. It is off the charts how much. And if you could have a module within that just would start, exactly just on a customer by customer basis, you just churn all your data into whatever reports, put it out to a Power BI presentation, whatever you want, and just analyze months, years, whatever. It doesn't matter. It just, because we have all these solutions that gather so much monitoring, telemetry, and a lot of the time we don't do anything with it, because it would take humans so long to go through. And as you said, automation is a key thing. If you think about it, even from, say, a virtualization standpoint, if you wanted to spin up a certain number of cloud PCs, tell an AI, this is the spec, away you go. You don't have to press any buttons. Like you said, most of us who work in IT are lazy. We don't want to be, spending hours writing scripts, or that's why we write scripts, is because we want to automate it.
Exactly.
We'll put the time in at the start, and then we just want it to work and do that thing. So I think it's really exciting when it comes. EUC is as we all know, has always been cutting the edge. So AI and EUC for me are the perfect combination, and I'm really excited to see what vendors do. My warning to any vendor would be, don't put it in just for the sake of AI. Please don't, because we are getting to the stage where a lot of people, I don't need my washing machine to have AI. Thank you very much. It's just, things like this. We don't. A lot of people go now when they hear, "Oh, it's got AI." They're, "Oh." So I think there's an oversaturation, but at the same time, I'm really excited by what the future holds for us, and I think we could probably have this conversation in a year's time. It'll be really interesting to see where we are from an AI and EUC standpoint. So, guys, this has been a really good conversation. Thank you so much for joining us. As we've said several times, join our communities. They're there for you. They are resources for you to share, ask questions, get access to, from a Liquidware standpoint, all of our staff up as far as our CEO and our CTO. They're on there answering questions. Like, our CTO answers more questions than anyone in the company, and it's a way of kind of getting that direct access. But it's also about sharing. We share lots of resources, and I know you guys do the same. And we definitely have to do more collaboration in the future between our two communities. So
James, there's one more thing, maybe one more thing.
Oh,
yeah. So as you said, also exclusive announcement for 25. We're having not our Disrupt, but our IGEL Now next year, March 25 to 27. And as you said, we had this year in Munich our community stage, and I can tell you, we started in Miami last year. Earlier this year, with 3 sessions because we wanted to test out, and the feedback was good. We took it now in Munich to the next level with 14 sessions and 15 external speakers. And I can tell you, the IGEL Now Next, which will be the follow-up for Disrupt, there will be no Disrupt in the future. It will be IGEL Now Next, will be even bigger from community side. And I would be happy to invite you if you like to or if you're able to come back on stage, tell us about the latest things about IGEL and Liquidware cooperation, probably also your CTO and all the important folks will be there. And this would be fantastic because it was a little bit short time this year with Munich, but we have now, maybe half year. Yeah, it's a half year to plan. And
I'd love to. That would be fantastic, guys. I would love to share what we're doing together in Miami next year. That would be phenomenal. And I think it's great that community is getting such a focus at an event such as Now Next. I nearly said Disrupt. It's been ingrained in my brain because there's been around, but Now Next. And I think as a title, it kind of encompasses where we are, because it's about the now, but it's also about what's coming next. And it's similar to kind of the conversation we've had around AI, where we are now, but what's next.
And this is the thing. If you're asking 100 people from or 100 attendees from the EUC, hey, where are we going with EUC? You will probably get 95 different answers there, and nobody knows where it will be or where EUC will be in 2 or 3 years. There are indicators, but nobody knows. And because this is what I like about this event. We're talking about the now, but also the chances with all the partners, with all the players in the market. And I think also the difference between Disrupt and Now Next will be Disrupt, well EUC only event, and IGEL with a preventative security model wants Now Next as a secure endpoint event. So enlarge the event to security vendors and make, as I said, getting specialists on board and make it broader, make it better for the people. And I'm really, really, really excited for this event.
Yep. No, it sounds fantastic. So I just wanted to finish by saying René, Sebastien, it's been an absolute pleasure. I always enjoy talking to you two and working together over the years. It's been fantastic. So hope everyone enjoys the episode. As I said, the links for both communities will be in the show notes. And we should hopefully, I will see you guys. Or either of you going to E2E?
Yeah, I do. So we will see you there.
I will see you there. And then René, I hope to see you soon. And if not, I will see you in Miami next March.
Awesome. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.